Hello, and welcome to episode 34 of On Second Thought with Mike and Matt, coming to you live on a hot and steamy Wednesday night, June the 4th. Recording a day earlier, Matt, because 21 years ago tonight, enjoying my last day of single life. Tomorrow will be 21 years of bliss. And
Bliss, you say?
The family and I will be going out and having a little family dinner. So we are recording a day earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, congrats on that. 21 years. Your marriage can drink.
I don't think we do anything special on 21, but here we are going out to do some dinner. Nothing romantic.
Sure, yeah.
Nothing romantic. The whole family is in tow, all the kids. So.
McDonald's?
That'd be the last place you'd catch my family, trust me. With all the non-meat eaters I live with, no.
Long John Silver's.
We don't have those around here.
Really?
No.
You got a couple around here.
And they don't like fish.
Arthur. Oh.
They don't eat anything. They don't eat anything with a mother, Matt. Okay.
Wait, what?
They don't eat anything with a mother. Fish had a mother. Someone birthed that fish, right?
Yes, true. Yeah.
So, anyways, tonight is the big launch event for the Switch 2.
Yep.
I have been scouring the internet and we talked a little bit about this last week with the automation of the world and the hot dogs and all this stuff, right? There's no longer is the day that I can just pick up the phone and fucking call the Best Buy and be like, "Are you guys participating in the midnight launch?" Even though I'm calling like a local number, it still goes to Best Buy HQ.
Yeah, right.
And I am not, I don't have a definitive answer if they're open tonight or not, but I'm going to roll the dice because on their site it says a majority of their stores are open tonight.
You haven't gotten like email confirmation or anything saying, like when I ordered my Xbox, it was in the email and everything, they would be open up at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever the hell that was.
It just says we're
5 a.m. or something.
It just says we're preparing your order. Will be ready tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is 12:01 a.m.
That's true.
So as I roll unemployed over here, it is not a big painstaking thing for me to be out a little late, and it's only like 20 minutes over. So.
Well, yeah, bring your sleeping bag, bring a chair, and if they're not open, you just hang out overnight and wait.
No, that's why you pre-order. I don't have to participate in such shenanigans.
No, I mean you're there, right? So you just wait, and then in the morning when you go, you just pick it up and come home. There you go.
You let me know how that goes. That's not how. It's like trying to tell the guy here, "Why don't you come camping with me?" No, I have a house. Why do I got to go fucking camping? This house cost me enough. Now you're asking me to buy camping gear on top of it?
Yeah, camping gear is nice. Camping gear, it takes a lot of money to act like you're homeless.
Yeah, let me know how that goes this weekend at the farm. Because I hear a rumor has it that the whole clan is showing up, which means you don't get to go into the little house. You have to go glamp outside. You gotta
yeah.
You gotta erect your tent.
There will be erecting happening.
Now,
yeah,
when you're at the property, and I know your sister has her own tent, and you have your own tent, and Dad's in the house, and maybe some other people have tent. How far away from each other are you? So if you do want to erect a tent, is your sister way off on the other side, or is she right next to you?
No, I wouldn't say right next to me, but probably within 50 feet when we're camping together.
50 feet.
Yeah. And then the house is probably within half a football field or something like that, probably away. And this isn't all the time. This is unusual that my dad's going to be up there in a weekend. So it's kind of, it's unusual. Normally I get the whole weekend by myself up there.
Do you ever give anybody just, hey, maybe you don't want to be so close this weekend? Well, why is that? Oh, I had some Mexican food. Maybe you want to go a football length away. Wink, wink.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to frolic. I was going to frolic around in the fields. I was going to frolic. I don't want to see. No one needs to see me frolic.
Just a simple way to get everybody to move away. Well, I brought the Speedo. Oh, understood.
The thong. The banana hammock, as you call it.
I'm working on my buttocks tan. It would be appreciated if you were not in the glare of my sun.
No tan lines. Yeah, exactly. I can't have this disruptions. Yeah.
So getting back,
you gotta come out here sometime with me. You'd like it.
Oh yeah. Only if you come here first, because I have I have PC woes again, and I need.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you aren't the guy for this. No offense.
Well, I found that out last night when I got into Discord, and it was like, man, all of a sudden I was in a tech talk.
Yeah, Bricko was helping me out. So Jeremy was helping me out a few weeks ago. I was getting the Intel 13th, 14th gen. You need to update your BIOS. And everything went fine with the updating of the BIOS process. Minus at the end, it said, well, you're a CPU fan, some sort of message. And, I took pictures beforehand so I could compare and contrast. And before, my CPU fan was listed as NA. Because I have a cooling system, liquid cooling.
Mm-hmm.
And so my only option now is to set it to ignore rather than NA. But even though when you first boot up the BIOS, it does still say NA, it's like when you go into the fan section of BIOS, now it says ignore. I don't think that is the cause of my problems, but who the hell knows? The problem is on certain times when I boot up, it boots to a black screen. Other times it boots to Windows. Bricko was giving me some thoughts. Maybe just do instead of taking, opening the case out and taking out the GPU and then taking out the battery off the motherboard, just set everything back to default inside BIOS. So.
Have you looked at driver updates for the graphics card?
I am up to date. There is a new driver, I think, that came out maybe earlier yesterday or today, but it was supposed to just be for 50 series. Who knows what it could be? I have the unique situation where I use a television for my monitor, and sometimes I wonder if that goes into play. I don't know, these LG TVs, the C1 that I have, it's supposed to be, it's all NVIDIA. What do they call that when they're G-Sync? You know what I mean? So
G-Sync, yeah.
So I have I'm using things that should talk to each other very, very easily. We shall see. That's the only problem I'm having. Matt and I have been playing a lot of Dead Island 2, which we're going to talk about later, and we haven't had any issues, so it's not impacting the gameplay. It's just upon booting up. But who knows? But yeah, I need go camping at your place, and then I need someone to come over here and be a PC doctor for me. I really, at this stage of my life, I want people to do things for me. I don't want to do this myself. I did this myself, and now it has gone sideways. And we're going to get into some of these other topics here in the intro of why I will not do such activities, because I'm tired of things going sideways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there's a fine line with some of this stuff as to tinkering and doing things. When I was having issues with my computer a month or so ago, that was frustrating as hell, trying to figure that out, troubleshoot that. And the one time when I upgraded the hard drive in my Ally, and I had to go through the BIOS and do some stuff there, and it was all fucked up. Things didn't work on Windows updates, and here it was. I had to change the date in the BIOS. Luckily, there was one little thing in Reddit about that.
Maybe I
And
should look at the. Maybe I should look at the date. Maybe that's my issue.
yeah, the date was all way off by like years, and so Windows Update kept getting stuck on the update thing. I was like, man, what the hell's going on? And then I went in, I made a post on Reddit about it, and a couple guys said, go check the date in your BIOS and make sure the date's correct. And sure enough, it was not right. So I changed the date, and bam, everything was lickety split, working fine.
Shitting in high cotton, as you say.
Shitting in the high cotton, sir.
So let's get back to this Switch 2 thing that is launching tonight. It looks like some people across the globe have already gotten theirs, but they can't do anything with it because the day one patch is not live, or at least it wasn't live as an hour or so ago. So I feel a little low key, and I think a lot of people have been sharing this online about the release, and I think it's a culmination of a couple things. I think it's kind of like a weak launch lineup. Nintendo really just has the Mario Kart, which again is their biggest title. I mean, if you think about it, they didn't have a proper Mario Kart last gen on the Switch. It was like the revamped version for the Switch, but it was the version that released on the Wii U, right? So this is the first new Mario Kart in 2 generations. So that should be enough to drive interest, and I'm sure that is. I'm sure it's going to sell out everywhere. It's not a problem. But to me, there's not a lot. I can't get hyped up about a lot of this third-party stuff that's just getting ported over to the Switch too, right? There's there's a handful of games that I might check out, but it's not a banger of a launch lineup.
But a lot of the games you've already played. Coming out too, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of the ones like there's updates for the Breath of the Wild and some of the other Switch games. So that'd be exciting to check them out and better visuals and see what the updates are like for sure. But those aren't free. $10 upgrades. It's not the end of the world. There, I'd rather pay $10 than $59.
Yeah. It's true. Yep. So are you excited at all about this thing? You're pretty kind of hyped besides the lineup and that, but are you like,
no,
man, I can't wait to get this thing, or just like, okay?
Yeah, I'm really not hyped at all. It's kind of like a thing that like I haven't spent the money. I could back out, I guess, but I don't know. Between the lineup and I think Nintendo, there's either a couple of reasons. Nintendo didn't send out any press units until today. Like some of the outlets started getting them today, but the day one patch isn't live yet, so you can't get any impressions. Usually like Microsoft, Sony, they will send these things out weeks and ahead of time. So as you're getting to the day before the whatever their sort of marketing cycle is, when they allow people to talk about these things, there's some sort of hype, and you know what you're going to get into, and that there's none of that groundswell. Because everybody is just sort of sitting around with a thumb up their ass, either because the day one patch is not ready. Some are speculating that they pulled VRR off of the system, and that maybe has weighed them down how to patch that out for now. And so this day one patch is not ready. More other people are saying that Nintendo is so worked up about leaks. And they are quick to litigate, right? Anybody who's infringing on their properties, leaking things, that they are so worked up about that they refuse to send any of these units out ahead of time, that they felt that the press events were enough to give coverage for the system. So what all I'm trying to say there is a lack of coverage to get you excited. That usually you get that sort of groundswell, everybody talking about it, giving their impressions, things you like, don't like, hey, watch out for this, or this is cool, that didn't get enough coverage. There's none of that going on right now. And then I also think it's not a generational leap. You know what I mean?
You're right.
What everybody is saying is this docked is going to be like a PS4-like experience. Right. And then in the handheld mode, it can be debated sometimes is going to be, it's certainly not as powerful as the ROG Ally X. So again, it's not something that I'm getting in my hands going, wow, this is going to blow everything else I played out of the water. This is a huge general. It's a leap for the Switch, but it's nothing that it's not going to play anything better than I already can play it on other systems. And I think that's probably like the biggest reason I'm not like super excited for it. I mean, I'm looking forward to the family getting together and playing Mario Kart.
Right.
Look at, I got this little sweatshop going over here. I got controllers out the yin yang that haven't been played in months that I'm charging here with all sorts of like USB.
Man.
To me, I don't shop at Walmart, but I went to Walmart. Their pickup. It was actually a nice Walmart. Very very cute girl came out and handed me. I got this. I can't wait for this not to work in the system. This is I guess a Walmart branded card. It's for some reason this, I don't know, whitelisted with some other fictitious company. I'm not sure if it's a real company or whatever, but you can only get these cards at Walmart. And of course, the new Switch 2 system uses Express cards. You can't just put any sort of SD card in there. So this is 512 gigabytes, and it costs $65, which you're not seeing those deals anywhere. It's pretty cheap. So when Los and I were talking on his Discord, we can't wait to put this in and have it be like 32 gigabytes. So.
Or just after one use, it's fried.
Oh yeah, it spits the thing out. It's so disgusted by it. It's like, bleh. And then the other problem I'm faced. This is a total first world sort of problem. Is I don't have a television right now with an open HDMI port. So I'm going to have to take something off the assembly line, as they say. Some system is going to have to be taken offline while the Switch 2 hype builds in the house. And then when that dies down, maybe I move the Switch 2 down here and take my Switch off of my big television.
I was going to say, do you have like unplug the old Switch or something, or what? What's the plan?
Yeah, if I was putting this down here, I would take the Switch off the television and put the Switch 2 on. Yep.
But the other TV you're doing that, you don't have that. You don't have that opportunity.
The TV upstairs has cable television, a sound bar, PlayStation, and an Xbox. So the Xbox is going to have to come unplugged, and then I'm going to have to put the Switch in. Switch 2. Might
be able to mic like my sound bar for my TV to get the optimal sound for that to work. My TV plugs into the back of the sound bar, or something's plugged in the back of the sound bar to save me a spot on my TV. You might have that opportunity maybe to plug in a device in the back of your sound bar. That's what I'm saying.
I was thinking of that. So when it comes to selecting the device, what do you do? Like, so if I have my remote here, right, and I press the sort of HDMI selector button, I see HDMI 1, 2, 3, and 4. So how am I going to see that fifth one? Does that show up as a fifth one?
I think if you go through the sound bar and it shows up on that input, it's like that ARC E or something. I think what it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I have the television plugged into, the eARC, to get the.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. There's something. I mean, you might want to look at that and see. There might be an opportunity there to plug something in there.
But I was enjoying watching Los on his Discord. He's he's got younger kids than me. Maybe, I think so. Anyways, he needs 2 for some reason rather than 1. He pre-ordered 1. The second one he was trying to get today, so he was waiting in line at a GameSpot today, and a GameStop, and I guess some people were in line since midnight. These are people that didn't have pre-orders. He was 7th in line, and I think he showed up about midday. And so at 3:00, they rang everybody up in line. You couldn't get your stuff. You had to, you could prepay at 3 p.m. and then come back at midnight and pick everything up. So that was kind of like an old school vibe. He has a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, that's right.
Pictures on his Discord showing that. But I think Los and I, the plan here you'll have to let us know, Matt, if you want to participate, is in a few weeks to have a show where we talk about the Switch after we've put it through its paces, the good, the bad, what we like, don't like, our experiences, etc. So
yeah, I can. Yeah, you want me to moderate or something like that? Kind of be a host.
Host with the most.
Host with the most.
And if we do it over here on Discord, we don't have to run into Los's Zoom timeout issue.
Every 10 minutes, insert operator comes on. Please insert another quarter.
So you'll have that to look forward to. This is going to be a handheld heavy episode. Just to warn people, I think since we last spoke, Matt, Steam has released a SteamOS that you can put on other non-Steam SteamDeck handhelds. And I know we've been talking about this offline, and you're like, well, what's the benefit of that? And so I did some research. Digital Foundry was talking about it, and this other guy who's I guess a big tech YouTube personality, his name escapes me right now, Dave 2D or 2D Dave, something along those lines. Anyways, they say the benefits of using the SteamOS maybe on your ROG Ally or Lenovo Legion Go is you're going to get better battery life, potentially smoother performance in some games. You get a console-like experience, access to the Steam library and its features, controller-optimized UI. So I know when we spoke the other day, I was telling you, boy, I fired up my ROG Ally and I hadn't used it in a long time because I have the X as well. And you really feel the pain of the Windows on a handheld when you have to do a lot of updates. If you're just doing incremental updates like, hey, a new thing came out, but everything else is already updated, it's not that big of a pain in the ass. But when you got to do everything under the sun, it's like, boy, I wish I hooked this thing up to a mouse and keyboard so I could just, do it easily like that rather than trying to use the thumb pad or something.
Yeah, dock mode, especially when you go on that long, a dock mode or something like that definitely helps with the Ally to do some of those updates. That's why at least, I use mine. I use mine probably more than you use your. Well, you probably use the X more, but I use my Ally a lot, and so
So it's already updated
for the most part. Yeah, I mean, normally there's something that's updated all the time, but it's not that big of a deal.
I casually looked at the instructions. It didn't seem like the most complicated thing in the world, but it didn't seem like, hey, just press a button and this will happen for you either. There is definitely some work involved. So I'm not sure if you, I think for people like me and you who have both flavors, it doesn't seem to make the most sense in the world. If you're a tinkerer and you just want to see how it looks and acts on it, for the novelty of it, that could be one thing. I think it's really for someone who's made a line in the sand. You know what? I'm not getting the Steam Deck. I got the ROG Ally. I got the Lenovo. And I'm really not thrilled with where Windows is at the moment with their mobile capabilities on a handheld. And I'm playing most of my stuff on Steam anyways. Then I think it's a no-brainer to put it on there for you. I mean, if you're just using the ROG Ally for Game Pass and you don't use Steam at all, I don't see this. There's no sense of doing that. You just continue what you're doing, and hopefully soon enough, Microsoft releases their sort of update to Windows. But
I think with the Ally, like I've got Valve, Steam on my, not SteamOS, but on my Ally, so I can play my Steam games on there. And both units got their pluses and minuses when it comes to that. Like you said, the ROG Ally is mainly my Windows Game Pass machine. I can play those games on, and games that I can't play on the Steam Deck, like Fallout 76. If I ever play Destiny again, I can do Destiny on the Ally. You can't do that on the Steam Deck. Call of Duty, so things like that you can play because it's a Windows device, so it just acts like a Windows PC as far as those games are concerned, compared to the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I will say that we can talk a little bit about the story now. I think this has really. I'm sure Microsoft was aware of this, but I don't know if they were aware that it was coming out this quickly. And this is really, people are saying this is a Microsoft killer, this SteamOS. that this is really a bigger threat to Microsoft than anything Sony and PlayStation are doing, because Microsoft's making a big push to go Xbox PC, and they're saying their next console is the biggest generational leap, which everybody is saying, okay, it's going to be like a PC box where you can install whatever you want on it. You can put Steam on there, so Microsoft has, for now, paused their development of their own handheld, like a SteamDeck. They've paused work on that now to concentrate on this Project Kennen with ASUS, which is sort of revamping, rethinking, reworking how Windows works on a handheld. And that's their focus, again, to sort of combat what Steam has just did with the SteamOS.
Yeah, I'm sure they're trying to optimize Windows to work on a smaller version, simpler version, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, like, why, if I'm on a handheld, why do I need OneDrive? Why do I need Copilot? Why do I need all this other security stuff? Why can't you make me a gaming version of Windows? Right?
As I've said before. Yeah,
it used to be like Windows Home, Windows Professional. Why can't there just be a Windows Gaming? And so you go in and it's just got, everything optimized for a gaming experience that will work with the controller, natively. And I don't have to worry about, Copilot. Like, I'm not interested. Copilot, help me kill this boss. I think that is a push coming up from on high that people think is going to what gamers are going to want. There's a very, very small percentage of gamers that's going to want that bullshit. And I think chasing that whole sort of AI thing is going to be their death knell if they continue. They gotta look at what Steam's doing and say, we got to do that. We got to compete with that. We got to get better at that.
Yeah, I know you disagree with me all the time when I say this, and I believe it's a simple thing, but you've already got this gaming software called an Xbox. That software can be put on a handheld.
My years of working in software has taught me never to say to people, well, that's simple, just do that, because they always come up with X, Y, and Z. And you probably hear that in the architect business as well.
Right.
Well, just make a fucking, pipe fit here and then do this and it'll be done. And they come back and say, no, because you got to think of this, that, and the other thing.
If you can make Windows software work on an Ally, Windows is a lot more complicated, a lot bigger than your Xbox software. You can put your Xbox software on the Ally.
Hopefully we'll learn more this weekend with the Xbox Fan Fest or whatever they're calling it this weekend. I think they're going to show some of Project Kennen, which is the collaboration with ASUS. I don't think we're going to have to wait long. I think, sometime later this year or early mid next year, there's going to be a big update from Microsoft, because they are starting to label everything now Xbox PC.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to start seeing what that means.
I think you're right. I think the next Xbox is going to be more PC-like, and the handheld is going to be more console-like.
Could be. Another thing that came out this week was SteamDeck. I'm hearing great things about GeForce Now on SteamDeck. I'm not sure where you are in the streaming space. I know you're a guy that you got a handful of games on your lap and you're satisfied and you don't need to go out and play anything else or subscribe to another service. Mm-hmm. But I'm hearing really good things about GeForce Now. For me personally, still, it's not cloud gaming. I pay too much, just like I said about the house. I pay too much for internet. I guess it's another way to take advantage of the internet I have, but I don't need to pay another $29. They got some deals going on now. But anyways, people are saying that it's running really well and it's making people rethink about the cloud. And we just talked about Steam being ahead of Xbox, and now it's NVIDIA being ahead of Microsoft's cloud gaming. I'm not sure if you've looked into any of this. It's another thing you got to install,
Now, for the uneducated here, Mike, and for the people out in there, now this GeForce Now, this is like what was that Google service for a couple years ago? That
Stadia.
was Stadia and the Amazon Prime gaming type of, it's all where it's all streaming. You're streaming the games like you would Netflix or something like that.
Yeah, so it's all cloud-based. You're not downloading any of these things. And there's various flavors to it, right? That if you want to, there's kind of like an ad tier that you can sign up, and you're just getting basic computers. If you're like in the middle tier, you're getting like 400X cards, and you might get 6 hours of gameplay before it boots you off. And then I think there's like the ultimate tier where maybe you're on, ray tracing 5,000 cards, and you get 8 hours of gameplay.
Now, do you see that difference like on our Ally or the SteamDeck? Will you see that different level, that higher level of performance? You're going to be limited by your device, right?
But that's what I guess that's the point of this thing is. It's gotten better on the Steam Deck. So to answer your question, yes, you're going to see those differences.
Gotcha.
So they said this person, who's Sean Hollister, who wrote the article for The Verge, said, NVIDIA just released GeForce Now app for the Steam Deck. I can play every one of those titles at near max settings anywhere in my home for hours and hours on a charge. And if I dock the Steam Deck to my 4K TV, it can output 4K 60 HDR and or ray trace graphics to put the PS5 Pro to shame.
Wow. Well.
And I think they have a wide variety of games on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like, all the AAA games are there.
Yeah. I'm not, completely up on it. I don't think you can play everything that's in your Steam library, but it has a ton of games. And in this article, he goes on to say that the best part might be this: while handhelds like the Steam Deck barely get 2 hours of such a game at potato graphical settings, I could get 7 to 8 hours of GeForce Now. I saw the cloud gaming service consistently sip under 7 watts from my Steam Deck OLED's 4.92 watt-hour battery, barely more than the system consumes at idle.
Interesting. I'm looking at the different things for membership. It doesn't look too bad. But it'd be interesting to try it and see how it works and what it does.
Yeah, for sure. But I think the larger point here that we're sort of talking about is Steam Deck is evolving, right? Not just to the games on this themselves, but the more that the device can do, the better the device can run things than what Microsoft is doing. And now you got this, GeForce Now on there. They've partnered together, NVIDIA and Steam Deck, on this app.
Yeah,
there's a quick arms race going on. And if you noticed, NVIDIA also is in what device that's coming out tonight? Switch 2. So there's like an NVIDIA AMD arms race, right? AMD is in all our PlayStations and our Xboxes, and AMD's in the ROG Ally, and
Yeah, it seems the past past half year or so, the Steam Deck has really been moving fast. The Steam Deck and Steam in general. A lot of shit been going on.
I could be totally wrong with this map, but my analysis is all their walls at Valve have been taken down, right? They don't have to worry about all this. How does it work with OneDrive? How does it work with Copilot? How can we get it to do this? Those barriers they don't have to fade. They don't have to deal with those, right? And they can iterate on stuff in beta branches, test it out, and then push it out to everybody else.
Yeah.
And Valve's no small company, but Microsoft probably still dwarfs them, right? You would think. And maybe there's just too much red tape, too many people, too many, checks and balances, hurdles to jump through, to get everybody on the same page, again, because it's Windows and they got so many people feeding into that Windows pipe.
Yeah, you got two different things. You got one software that's based gaming all the time, right? And then, Microsoft Windows has to. I mean, it's a computing software. Yeah.
And getting back to, do I want to put it on my handheld? Fuck, if I'm going to put it on my handheld, why wouldn't I just use it on my computer?
Well, I guess
the handheld. Handheld gives you more mobility. You can be more mobile in the house.
Right.
If that isn't a big thing for me, my usage on the mobile stuff goes up and down depending on what I'm doing in my life. So fuck, just try it on a computer, and see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
You got I'm assuming you sign up. You can use it on multiple different. Use it on your SteamDeck and your computer. You're not tied to your membership.
Yeah, you can probably only use one at a time, but
right.
You're probably going to use one at a time. But yeah, I'm sure you could put it on all your shit and then just be signed in to it and use it. Mm-hmm.
And again, the steps didn't look overly complicated, but there's some work involved, and I got to get over my own BIOS issue here on the main PC before I make more problems for myself.
Yeah.
All right. Get some other news later, but that was the big handheld stuff that I wanted to tackle out in the open. Anything else we want to talk about before we move on to what we've been playing? I know you're desperate to talk about Dead Island 2, but anything else? any hot dog issues? Any
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. Still dreaming about the
Reds never got back to you?
No, they haven't gotten back to me with their sponsorship and that, so I'm looking at other places now.
You should get, how many cooking devices do you have up and running? It's Memorial Day just passed, so that's the start of the cookout season.
Yep.
How many do you have up and running at the moment?
I just used my gas grill tonight. This weekend I'll be using my smoker, my pellet smoker. Probably I've been using my flat top a couple times already. It's sausage season.
It's grilling season.
Grilling season, yes sir. I love it. I love that, being outside grilling and cooking.
So you got to get sponsorship for the grills, the side, the tops. And so that's where you're using. Right. That's where you're using your handhelds when you're waiting for things to cook. You're sitting under the gazebo.
Yep, sitting underneath in the patio there, messing around with the handhelds, playing on there, waiting to flip burgers or flip steaks or whatever, and cooking, depending on what I'm cooking on. Yep,
living the dream.
I tell you what, it's not bad. That and early mornings now, and I can sit outside and drink my coffee. Sit outside in the back and enjoy them mornings.
Oh, yeah. Speaking about early mornings, I'm so offended. 6:45, the furniture company called me this morning saying they were 15 minutes away. My son, for his 17th birthday, requested a new bed. So we got him, graduated him to a queen size bed. And,
nice.
And so, yeah, they said the delivery window was between 7 to 10. With the unemployed life, I like to sleep now to 8:39, 9:30. Fucking 6:45 they called. I had to be up and downstairs at like 7 a.m. Outrageous.
Put your clothes on. Outrageous. Put your clothes on and stuff. Yeah. Yep. Well, you must have been first in the list.
Must have been, yeah. And this is a good question. Last week we got the new washer and dryer delivered, right? And so we got these LG washer and dryer. So far they've been very good. Finally feel like we got some clean clothes and things are drying in one cycle rather than having 3 cycles to dry things. They have online capabilities. You could get the app, so theoretically you could be in your car and like start a load of laundry if you had it all in there. What do you feel about putting those things online? That's just another thing that bogs down your network. I mean, is there really a need?
That's not going to bog. It's not going to bog your network down. But yeah, I hear all these stories. I mean, do you really need to be able to start your wash when you're in your car coming home or something like that? Or I mean, right? I don't understand it. So
I mean, is that the only thing will it do like firmware updates? Will it like make the machine ever run better, or it's the technology is the technology?
Well, you would think the technology is technology, right? I mean, it's a washer. What can it? It doesn't need all that shit. Okay, it's just a washing machine. And then you hear all these stories online of that's how people get in your system. It's through like your washer and dryer or through a refrigerator or something like that because they're not secure.
Yeah,
and they get in. You don't need everything hooked up to the fucking area. That's going to be the next thing. That you're talking about subscriptions. So here's going to be the next thing, Mike. And you're the start of it here now, probably. So you get these washers and dryers that are hooked up to the internet. Next, come up, yeah, you're going to need a firmware upgrade or something, or you're going to have to pay a subscription now to wash your clothes with warm water or with cold water, or to use a certain cycle or something like that, or you're over your limit of washes per month, so you have to pay for more.
I got my own.
It's not going to work.
I have my own fucking well here. I don't pay any water bills or anything. So.
I'm not talking about no the washing machine though. It's going to make you pay. It's like, oh, you've done 10 washes.
Maybe
yeah.
Getting back to the excitement about the Switch 2, Matt. I didn't want to go there, but maybe all the other bullshit in the world has like tempered excitement on a lot of stuff.
Sure.
I was just reading this thing where people in Pennsylvania are all upset because a favorite like camping place that they usually go to, that would be banged out, SRO, fucking closed down because, had to make cuts. And so now the Army of Engineers runs it and there's no one, they've cut all those people working there. So all these people in the middle of Pennsylvania that would usually go to this campground can't go. And you see people in comments, well, just go there. And it's like, that's not how it fucking works. They've closed it down. You can't get in. It's not like not like they just like let people go and just like left the door open so you can fucking go in. I mean, they put barricades up and stuff so you cannot get your shit through.
Or it's going to be, Mike, if they didn't do that, people say, oh, just go. Bullshit. You don't need. So the same people that bitch, would go. And then they would complain online because of rowdy campers or other issues because no one's there to police it or take care of it. Exactly. Yep. Anyways.
Don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but that could be another reason the Switch. I would really want if there was a new system come out that could do like PS5 Pro in your hand or something crazy. I would be curious to see what my excitement level would be. I was thinking.
I imagine it'd be higher.
I'm getting to the age, and maybe you can relate to, Matt, where I feel like everything we're playing, it looks so good. Like we'll talk about Dead Island here soon. I'm playing Cyberpunk again. We'll talk about that, but it just looks so good. I can't imagine anything being better than and running better than I already have. And I know that there's the 5,000 cards already out there, and there's machines that can probably make my PC, cry. But I'm very satisfied with everything right now. I don't feel like we need the PS6. I don't feel like we need the next Xbox. I'm very satisfied with the way the games move, load, look, everything. It's not like before when sometimes you felt like you were playing in mud or things look blurry or whatever. I think that's a big part of it for me is I don't feel like, wow, I can't wait to go from cassette to CD. There's no, I don't think we're having that experience anymore.
I agree. I think especially when I play Kingdom Come or Avowed, Kingdom Come, a little bit more of a realistic game, real life type game, and some of the images and stuff like that are just stunning. I've posted before online. I've said this before about how it's just a beautiful game. And it's like it's so damn real. It's absolutely one. It's like, how much more real can you get? Now, obviously you can, but just I'm like you. It's like, man, this looks great. I'm happy. It's satisfied with where we're at. Yeah,
and that could be a generational thing. Maybe there's people in their 20s and 30s are going, who grew up with great looking graphics, and it's like, nope, I need better. And we grew up with Space Invaders and Pong and Pac-Man, and now here we are. And it's like, this is. I don't know. At the 360 era, did we feel like that was I didn't feel like that was the best. You felt like games took forever to load. Some things were, half baked, or maybe, like you could see what the vision was, but they couldn't pull it off because it was technical limitations.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like anything and everything is possible with the systems we have right now, within reason, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Alrighty, let's get to it. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Why don't you go first and kick things off? I know you've been very, very busy, fixing all sorts of cars while trying to clean up Hell A. So you've been living two different worlds.
Yep. I'm Car Mechanic Simulator. I've been progressing in that along the storylines and everything, and going to junkyards and getting cars and fixing them up and reselling them and making money. And I've got my profile leveled up pretty well now, where things go a little bit faster, a little bit easier. It's one of them games, comfort game, I guess you could say. Go in, play, and just chill, relax. I know I say this a lot about a lot of the games I play, but it's fun, and the DLC is good on it. They've added some real cars to it, and it's just a neat, different game to go play. You don't get penalized for a lot of stuff doing wrong. You can fix parts, buy parts. Like I said, the value is getting cars from the junkyard and seeing how you can fix them up and maybe make them better or so forth, make more money off of them, or keep them for yourself.
So you really go into a junkyard? Is there like a scene in the game where you're getting in a car and you're driving there, or is it just like a button press and then boom, you're in a junkyard and you're making selections from a menu?
Yeah, it's a button press. It's a button press, and you leave your garage, and now all of a sudden you're in this junkyard. But you're walking around the junkyard, looking at piles of junk, or looking at cars. And you're inspecting cars, and you're seeing how, okay, well, this might be worth the fix up, or this one's not worth anything.
Well, you'll have to be on the lookout in your junkyard for a nice shiny blue Porsche. I was driving home tonight from the town dump, and in my area, we are putting in a new high school.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a section of roads, kind of like a four-way intersection, where traditionally there's a main road, Route 117, and then there's, kind of roads on either side of that, and people sort of got to wait for the traffic on 117. They'll have a little bit of lull, and then you can scoot across in either direction or turn on to 117. And with the high school, they're getting away from that. And we are putting in Massachusetts, we love our rotaries.
Roundabout.
Every other places call them roundabouts. We call them a rotary. And so they started the big work. They've been doing a lot of other work for the last couple of weeks, but the big digging has commenced this week. And there was this guy in his Porsche, very, very low to the ground. And where this rotary is going to be, they've sort of scooped the ground out. So you're going down a little bit, and then you're going up a little bit, as you come into it and as you leave the area. And there's no way this guy got through it without bottoming out and ripping all that stuff off, whatever that stuff is called on the side that sort of hangs down. I saw him. I had to continue to drive without crashing. And I was sort of looking, and he was not going over the bump. He was trying to go with like sideways, to try to go where it was a little bit higher, where the sort of,
where he went and scrape, hit bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he was a young kid too. He wasn't like an old timer. He was out showing what he had, and
Or out with his dad's car.
yeah, one or the other. He is not going to be a happy person.
Oh no, yeah. Yeah, roundabouts were coming around all over here too. I don't mind them. I'd like them. I'd rather go through a roundabout than sit at a stop sign and wait for cars or something like that for an opening.
Yeah, because people won't let. I mean, rightfully so. You got to get to work. You got to go to the supermarket. You got to pick up a kid or something. You don't have the option to let someone go because you know how it goes. If you stop to let one go, someone's going to piggyback off of them, and all of a sudden you got yourself in a situation. People behind you start honking.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, car simulator. Look for the Porsche at the junkyard.
Yeah, I will. I'll see. I'll see if I can get it. If there's a blue one around, I'll pick it up. Maybe I'll sell it back to the kid. And then before we talk about Dead Island, because I know we'll talk about that together. Division 2, I downloaded that again. Mm-hmm. Some new DLC came out for that. Brooklyn.
Did you buy it?
I did not, but I'm going to. I will. Yeah, I'll pick it up for it's $15, I think, for the DLC. So, I'll get that and play it. I dabbled in a little bit last night. Of course, information overload after logging in for the first time after months, just shit popping off and everything, and trying to make sense of everything on seasons and all that crap, But my character was still there, all my gear and everything was still there, which is cool. So I was happy for that. So just gotta get back and check out the DLC is what I'm going to do. I don't know if you're interested in getting that or not. Also,
oh yeah, I'm always down for a good time. I've been playing some of the OG Division, and just because, no real reason. I know we were hot and heavy on the Division 2, and we stopped playing it mainly because a lot of things we talked about with Diablo 4. Right, we've already cleared out these areas. And now there's like weekly challenges and they reset the map and you just feel like you're spinning your wheels after a while. And we're not those guys that just grind on one game. We move on. Unless it's Fallout 76, then we grind for 800 hours and then we move on. But Division, all those memories of all those betas and alpha testing. But yeah, playing it on a PC, it still looks like a stunning game for sure.
You could probably play that in your washer and dryer.
Yeah, it's not on Steam. You know that? That is one that's still on Ubisoft.
Division?
The first Division. At least
I got the first Division on Steam.
Is it? I'm wondering why I have it on Ubisoft and I don't have it on Steam.
Yeah, it's in my library. Yep. Division.
I didn't think it was.
Let's say, yeah. Yeah, it's right there.
All right.
Weird. It's weird that you wouldn't have it.
Yeah, I'm like, how did I end up with the Division on Ubisoft Connect? Yeah, if I type in the Division, I'm on Steam right now. It doesn't come up.
Tom Clancy's Division.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it is $5.99. So strange. How do I not have that in my library? Anyways, move on.
I thought for sure you had it. Okay, anyways, yeah.
All right, let's hear it, Matt. Let's go into Dead Island. Tell me what's on your mind.
I got mixed emotions about this game.
Well, let's start with what you like.
It's vibrant. I like the graphics. I like the play style. The weapons are fun. Now we get some purple ones. We had our first legendary the other night, which is cool. The upgrades with the weapons are neat. You can repair them, which is nice. I like the unlimited sprint, the unlimited stamina. We could run everywhere, past zombies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to explore. Fast travel was pretty seamless and everything in it. Our characters are pretty cool with the skills and that. The skills that you can use they kept it pretty simple there, with the card system, and choosing your skills to your builds and stuff. I'm real curious. We're almost at the end of the story, and it still seems like there's a lot to unlock as far as the skills go. We got a couple of spots left, and then we get that whole another layer down below called Newman or whatever.
Yeah, that only has 2 cards, right? I think we have 3 or 4 cards left to unlock. Is that right? 3 or 4 cards.
I think so.
Slots.
Slots. Yeah, slots. Yeah. So curious where that's going to go with that. It seems like the workbenches are plentiful in the game to go places and fix stuff. The characters are engaging and funny. Most of the characters we've seen so far have been kind of outrageous and out of this world, a little bit fun, especially that dude with the purple banana hammock and that he was wearing, the guy and the girl in that one house. Remember, he had the lace and all that on. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, they definitely didn't mail it in. I mean, if you played like the first Dead Island and Riptide, those are some janky ass games where, they were just probably getting their feet wet there and making those. But yeah, this is a much more mature. I'm not even sure if it's the same developer, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's a much more mature offering than those first earlier games.
We haven't had any issues with the game. No technical issues at all. It's been running smooth. It's been running great. It's easy to join up, to play together. We
should let people know, because we don't play often this way. We are playing it on PC, but we're playing on an Epic Games. We are not playing on Steam. It's probably can't say that too much for us, maybe except the occasional Fortnite here and there. Mm-hmm. We are. It was free on Steam on Epic a few weeks ago. So yeah, we are playing on.
But like joining your session is seamless. I just click on your name, join, and bam, there I am. And like I said, there's no hitches, no hiccups. Man, it's good in that aspect of it.
Yeah. Before you get to the negative, I want to echo some of the same sentiments. I think on PC it does look really stunning. I'm not sure what you have your settings to, but I opted for the sort of custom. I'm running at 120 frames per second.
Yeah,
and that's what my television / monitor can do, 120 hertz. So everything
it's buttery smooth.
It's buttery smooth. Like you said, the aesthetics, the graphics, very well thought out. I think one thing we were talking about the other day. We were at some sort of pier, the Santa Monica Pier. And, of course, we're dealing with zombies here, and, some sort of apocalypse, some sort of event has happened. We don't know what the event is quite yet. And so, the army got involved at one point to lock things down. And, of course, more zombies than army, and shit got overrun. But, it's like, man, look at this on this pier. There's this fucking helicopter that's crashed in. I go, me and you were building this game. This would just be a bunch of pier. This would just be a pier and some fences and some zombies, right?
Right.
The thought process and some of these set pieces, very realistic, as far as, Venice Beach, Muscle Beach, all those types of sights and sounds. There's one place we go to, the Blue Crab, you could picture you've been in a place that's looked like that, right?
Right. Yeah.
So really well done. The voice acting, very good on some of these NPCs that you can't play as, but you interact with, like Matt said. It's been good, and it's been enjoyable. I was telling Matt the other day that I like games. I don't know, I just like games where I can collect shit. I don't know where this came from, and I don't even care what I'm collecting. At some points, just something shiny over there. Boom! I like collecting it. And there's plenty of that in the game, which Matt, I'm sure we'll get to here in just a minute. But it definitely is like a game that rewards you the more you play. It's sort of, I would say, it respects your time more often than not, that you always feel like you're getting something. If you're putting the work in, you are going to get something. It's not like, hey, just go do this and, you're going to get some, crappy blue gun. How many games have we played where we've done something and we've gotten like green gear? right?
Mm-hmm.
Diablo,
Mm-hmm.
right? At least it feels like you're getting something comparable to the level that you're at. You play Borderlands and you do all these things and you're getting fucking crap guns that just clog up your inventory. I feel like the stuff more often than not is useful, and if not, you can sell it, and they give you a lot of money for selling it, which can help you level up the guns and the loadouts that you do like.
Yeah, I think the gear is rewarding. They do a good job at that. A good example of that is you got to pay. There's places where you can put fuses in the fuse boxes, right? And you can't find them. You have to buy those, and so they're $1,500 a piece. And what's nice is that when you go and you find one, you got a fuse, you put it in. You're getting a good purple weapon that's at your level or higher, right? So that is nice and rewarding there. And when you do kill a I'll say a boss or whatever like that, the loot is pretty plentiful. The stuff to upgrade your weapons and that is plentiful. The scrap that you could say, is well around everywhere. Some things are a little more rare than others, like gunpowder or something like that. But it's usually you don't have an issue with upgrades and so forth with your weapons. And like Mike said, money is easy to come across, so that is nice. Yeah.
All right. Now we've listed the positives. There are some negatives that Matt would like to get off his chest.
Game frustrates the fuck out of me. We fucking work so hard to do something or get in something, and you need a key to open up the safe. It's like, motherfucker, we just spent an hour trying to get in this goddamn building, okay, and getting shit. And nope, you need a key for this. Oh nope, gotta find a key for this. Oh, gotta find a key. This door's locked. It's like, really, goddamn it. That just frustrates the shit out of me, and then you go. I don't know what happens sometimes, Mike. If you go in and it's just zombie after zombie after zombie, and they don't give you a chance to catch your breath after you're done killing them or something like that.
I think the complaint I have with that type of. I wish there was. I don't want it to be as simplistic as easy, medium, hard, very hard. But I wish there was a way that you would have more control over the game, like to dial things back a little bit, like give the player more control. Like, I don't know what. I'm not a game designer, but when I'm playing, like dial the zombies back, whatever the slider would be there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give me as many as let's say the flavors are, give me as many as you can. Or make it hard. Or no, I've had a long day at work. Just give me a few zombies. These are the these are the flavors that you can pick from, right?
Yeah.
That is frustrating. Where you feel like on purpose they're trying to twist your nipples, right? On purpose they're trying to make it more difficult because they know you're at a big sort of twist in the mission, whether it's a main story, a side quest, a fetch quest type thing. You're at a peak, a pinnacle of that moment in the game, and then it's not going to give it to you. You got to fight all these zombies off, and then you can go on and do what you want. And then sometimes even after you've done what you've wanted, they come back like for no rhyme or reason. Like boom, some areas just get overrun again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have that much issue with we go into an area and we're clearing out a bunch of zombies. In most games, once you clear an area, it's clear for that session, for lack of better words. No, not in this game. No, in this game here, it gives you maybe 30 seconds and shit starts to pop off again. It's like, God damn it, you told us to go to this area to inspect and investigate. So we cleared all the zombies. We're trying to investigate, and now you send in another fucking horde of zombies. Bullshit. No, that kind of pisses me off.
Yeah, and I wish you could carry more health things on you. I know there's the cards, the skills that you can equip things that give you more health as you kill stuff, so you feel like you're always building up your health. But I tell you, when you start getting inundated and you heal yourself there's no like option to like catch your breath. Like, yeah, like the game doesn't recognize that I just have a full health bar and then it's like gradually declines again as I'm getting attacked. It's like, no, it goes from like 10 to 0 very, very quick. Even though I've just healed myself. There's like no like chipping away at my health. Like, okay, I'm at full health. I'm getting hit a little bit and this slowly go peter out. It's just like, no, boom. 10 to 0 very quickly. Yeah, that is an aspect. I mean, of course, I think what they've opted to do, it feels like to me, the more powerful we have gotten with the better weapons, the skills, more cards, that they have raised the area. So you're getting more zombies now because we're 23, 24 level, that you're not getting the same amount of zombies maybe in the original area. Everything sort of spikes with your level. I think that's how they've balanced the game.
I can understand that.
And to me, like going back to what I said, there would be a nice option to say, you know, don't match my level with the amount of zombies. You know, I want to play at the difficult setting because there's only one difficult setting from what I can gather. I'm not asking for, I guess I am asking for an easier way to play, but not really like, I don't want no zombies, but I don't want 1,000. Can I have something more in the middle? Like, if I'm level 24, give me level 18 zombies. You know what I mean? Like that amount of zombies.
Right. There's a lot of games have an option, you know, story mode or something like that, where you still have the action in that, but it's not as intense as a normal or hard mode. It's more focused on the story, where you can, I guess, read journals and stuff like that, and just focus on the story and not worry about killing shit. I think another thing that really pisses me off about this goddamn game, environmental damage. Electricity is freaking everywhere, and water, and oil, and fire, and you can't avoid it. Okay, if you have an electric weapon and you're now, I understand that what I'm about to say is probably pretty stupid, like duh. But if you got an electric weapon and you're in a puddle of water and you hit a zombie with it, you're getting electrified too, and you're getting killed before the goddamn zombie does. That's bullshit. That pisses me off. The fire damage pisses me off. You know, when it's hurting us more than the zombie.
Yeah, again, it feels like they went too hardcore into the realistic realm here, and there should be like no friendly fire type thing, or no environmental damage. Like there should be an option for the people that want to play like that realistic. Because like they're talking out of their mouth, like in one sense they want to be goofy and have these characters that are sort of over the top, but then in the next sense they want it to be like, you know, a hardcore survival game where every little environmental thing is equal to you and the zombie, right? It would be nice to have an option like something like no friendly fire, no environmental damage, if initiated by us or a co-op player, right? I understand right. if I'm already going into an area where there's already like some sort of electrocution, I didn't cause that. I'm walking into the environment. I got to deal with it. I got to turn it off. Okay, I can get that. But if Matt all of a sudden throws like an electric, you know, star and gets all these people electrocuted, and I'm standing next to them, and all of a sudden I start getting electrocuted too, I don't feel like that's in the spirit of what gamers are really expecting in this type of game. It feels a little too hardcore survival in that aspect. There should be no friendly fire. And then the other thing, I think, getting back to the environmental stuff, is like there's no consistency. Like sometimes you can turn a valve off and it stays off. Sometimes you turn the valve off and it comes back on, and so you got a small window. Again, these are subtle puzzles is what they're making you try to solve, right? They're not coming out and saying solve this puzzle, but the game designer is saying this is a subtle puzzle. Here, when you go here in the beginning, maybe the valve turned off and the area is not going to be electrocuted anymore. But now as you ramp up and you get more experienced in the game, some of these valves, because you're in a fucking, you know, apocalyptic scenario, they don't have the same help me out here with the architecture terms, Matt. They don't have the same give anymore. That they get loose, they get wonky over time. So I closed them, and then after a while, they spin back to where they were. And
right, they don't stay closed, and like and like you said, sometimes like we'll take. There's like batteries you have to get in circuit breakers and shit like that, and you don't know if you're supposed to put the battery in something or take the battery out or something. You're supposed to charge a generator or not charge a generator because you don't know what the fuck it's going to do, right? And so you turn the water off, like you said, and the electricity should go away like that. But no, the ground's still electrified for another 20 seconds or something like that, and you're sitting there waiting for it to dissipate, or the fire or something like that. It's like, man, come on. That's maybe it's I'm old, cranky, whatever, and like Mike said, I want when I come home, I want to enjoy games and that, and I'm having a hard time enjoying this game to its full intent.
It feels like we need to power through to the main story stuff, and then Mike just plays the side quest, side stuff on his own.
Yeah. I mean, some of the side quests, a lot of games do this, but these side quests here, like last night, this is a couple times where we had to do this. Where you get this annoying lady talking. All right, now kill 14 zombies by shocking them with the bumper cars. And you're throwing batteries at them, trying to. And see again, where you got to shock the zombies, okay? But you're getting shocked yourself because you got to get close to them. You got to push them, all this shit. Next thing you know, you're getting electrocuted. All right, and then you're okay. Well, cool, we did that. Okay, now you got to chop their heads off. You go. All right, fuck. Now we got to chop 16 heads off these, and then fucking trying to throw them off a goddamn pier with meat bait and shit, and they're all coming after you. It was just like, man. Last night I was done.
Poor Mike. I'm just trying to have a good time and incorporate my buddy into the game, and I'm just getting the most awkward silence. I'm out. I'm done. Yep, I'm done. I'm out. Yep.
But there's a lot of times where I'm enjoying playing, running around, wrecking shop with some zombies, and like I said, the weapons are cool. I've got my favorite sword, that I've modified up, and shotgun and that, which is pretty cool. But just there are some frustrating things. We've had to look up a lot of stuff, especially with the keys, trying to find keys. We learned somewhat midway through the game that named zombies drop, keys and stuff like that. So then and that's the thing. We're either found keys and we're searching where the hell it's got to go to, or we found another locked item, which is everywhere in this fucking game. Every corner, oh, look, it's locked. Or you got to find a key that opens it.
Well, I got a great story for you coming up in the news item. There might be a game that's more your speed,
Can't wait. Yeah, we're going to finish it up. Some of the side quests have been entertaining to do. They've been fun. Like quick little change of pace. The game has seemed to progress pretty quickly, I would say. We've been powering through a lot of stuff. We've been playing, I don't know, 2.5 hours probably every night, and a couple Friday nights we've had some longer sessions. So done pretty good.
Yep. We'll see it to conclusion. Matt's got a theory. We won't give any spoilers.
I do have a theory.
Matt's got a theory. Some incredible set pieces, going through those tunnels with the sewers with all the fat and lard.
Oh, that was nasty.
And a lot of detail there. I had fun going through the at one point you go through like a Hollywood area, Monarch Studios, and you're going into where sitcoms are filmed and action movies. We had a good chuckle. I didn't know what the name of that spider was. What was it? Spider God or something? I was calling him spider cod or something.
Cod spider. So, what the hell was that? Yeah, we had a good. Shit. What the hell? We chuckled pretty good for that one there for a while.
Yeah,
but
and going through all the trailers there, on site at the studios, seeing how the movie stars, look real pretty, what I would envision as realistic scenarios there. And there was a sitcom being filmed, Friends Without Benefits, and some of the characters we encountered were like, subtle names like of the characters from Friends.
Yeah. That was pretty good. The game design has been good overall. The areas that we go to have been very good in that. But yeah, if it wasn't for Mike playing this, I probably would have given up on this game a while ago. I would not be suffering through this by myself.
Well, I mean, I want to see it to the end, and then there's all sorts of DLC, and so I'm gonna have to talk to Josh, the noise, and see, is it worth playing all over again on PS5, and does he have the DLC?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to finish the story through because I want to see if I'm correct about my theory about what's going on. So,
all right. Anything else you've been playing?
Just odds and ends stuff here and there, but nothing major.
Okay. Still working my way through Dragon Age Veilguard. The only thing, we talked a lot with Dead Island about, mechanics and things like that. They've made an interesting choice in Dragon Age Veilguard, which I didn't talk about before. There is no, even in Dead Island 2, the same thing. You're not encumbered. Like in Dead Island 2, you can only carry so many weapons, then it says your inventory is full.
Your inventory's full, yeah.
You don't have anything like that in Dragon Age Veilguard. There is no way to get rid of shit that you have acquired. There is no crafting system. There is no scrapping. There's no weight. There's no limit to your inventory. So what happens? You can have a debate there whether that's, poor implementation. They didn't want to do all that work, so they went this other way. So you keep all these, armor and shields and swords in your inventory. And as you progress through the story doing certain things, there is chests all along the way that you can find. Some of them are just out in the open and might have like some valuables that you can sell at various stores to get more gold. And then you also level up that faction's store and they become, your bond increases with them. So everybody starts out with like a week. There's, I don't know, maybe like 7 to 8 factions that you're trying to help throughout the game. And then the more you spend at those stores and the more of those missions that you complete with them, you go from like weak to moderate, strong. And so you're going through the game, you come across a lot of missions where you earn things. And what it will do is maybe you got like a gray piece of armor in the beginning and you've done a couple other things now. And this gray armor evolves over time. So maybe it didn't suit your needs in the beginning. And now that you've upgraded it, 15, 20 hours later, you can go back and compare it to what you're wearing now and, then make a decision because more attributes get unlocked the further you go along. So it's interesting. You keep everything that you've accumulated and you're always sort of casually going back and looking at things that have been upgraded and saying like, is this now better than what I already have equipped? And you got to make that decision.
So with that, so you got a lot of inventory. Is inventory, I don't say inventory management, but like going through all that stuff, is it hard to go through and see what you have and what's worth it or not? Or
there isn't there's a decent amount of stuff. I'd say where it gets really bogged down is there's this area called the lighthouse, which is sort of like your home base. You can't be attacked there, and you don't wear your armor. You wear more casual clothes there. Mm-hmm. And it looks like there's got to be like 500 slots of different clothes that you can wear there.
Jesus Christ.
Like when I'm playing fucking Barbie here, going through all the outfits. But, I would say like as far as your main character, you might have like 15 to 20 choices, but then you're also doing the same thing for all your companions. Like you're managing everything that they wear and all their gear too. Now they don't have as many slots like you do. They don't have like an offhand weapon and a shield. Some guys do, but they don't have as many slots as you. But I just thought it was we kept talking about the game, and people were complaining about the game, and I there's one quest line there, one character. People might not be into that. We touched upon that a little bit last week, but I think we've all played games. We're playing Dead Island now too, where you acquire stuff, you scrap it, you use that money to buy something else. There is none of that in this game. You keep everything that you have, and it gets updated over time the more you progress through, and you're constantly comparing and contrasting and seeing how the armor or the weapon works for you now in your current situation.
So if you pick up, I'm just going to like 10 different swords, you're always going to have 10 swords in your inventory.
Yep. Always going to have them. Yep. There's no way to drop them. There's no way to sell them. There's no way to scrap them. They're always there.
Okay.
And there's no weight limit. There's no inventory limit. So you just accumulate them.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I think
that's pretty wild.
I think there can be a debate there going, did they not want to develop all those other systems? They had too much else to do with the story because it's heavy on narrative and a lot of different worlds that you go to. They just don't have enough time to fit that in. So they said, all right, you keep everything and we're just going to update it over time, and then you choose. It's, how many times have you had to make the agonizing decision? Well, I really like this, but this other one has given me 3 to 4 more points. I'd hate to get rid of this, but now I don't have any room in my inventory, so I got to get rid of this. You don't have to worry about that anymore. It just stays there.
And then the one that gives, and so you replace one thing that's going to give you 3 or 4 more points, right? Okay. But the tool that you really liked, there's a chance that it's going to get upgraded even better than
it evolves
before. Yeah,
it evolves. Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I think it's a really good game.
Do you like that concept, that inventory thing? Do you
I like it because I like the game. It'd be interesting if I didn't like the game and that was on it as well. It is refreshing to be in a game where I'm not just doing inventory management.
That's true.
Having to scrap stuff and sell stuff, and I'm over encumbered. You don't have to worry about any of that. The downside of that is now, like you said, you got to go through your inventory and compare and contrast a lot.
Did they let you know when stuff's got upgraded and everything?
Yeah, because usually what will happen is you can press like R2 to compare, and it will show you the new weapon and your existing weapon. But sometimes it will just say, all right, the weapon you have is going to change to this. Just showing you the evolve on your screen.
Interesting.
Yep. Other than that, I've been playing Division. The only some reason I've been watching a lot of Digital Foundry this week, and because the Switch 2 is coming out, they've spent a lot of time on Cyberpunk. And I know about a little over a year ago when I got the PC, I started Cyberpunk, my third playthrough, and this time as the Corpo. I played I forget what the other two were called. But yeah, this is my third playthrough. And I was like, shit, I haven't touched it since March of 2024. I think it's time. I got the Cyberpunk itch. And yeah, I'm going through it again. And it's interesting to see the game with the corpo angle, like some of the phrasings and sentences you can give back. Like when the beginning, if you can remember playing Cyberpunk in the beginning, Dex Deshawn is giving you that mission where you need to get the flathead and you got to go into the gang hideout. And then there's that Meredith chick who gives, who works at Militech, and you got to meet her in some sort of side alley, and she gives you like an encrypted card.
Yep.
And she has a much different tone with you when you're a corpo, the replies that you're giving to her. She doesn't give you as much shit back because you sort of call her out on her bullshit.
Ah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I met up with my girl, Judy. That's all I wanted to do. I think my first playthrough, I was in Pan Am.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, but you got to be a woman. You can't have fun. You can't have fancy fun time with Judy as a man. She's not interested. She doesn't go that way. So you have to be a woman.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But I think Judy's awesome.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what I've been playing, and we'll see what changes with the Switch 2. I'm sure Mario Kart World will be talked about on the next episode, and whatever else I cave in on buying. But before we wrap it up, we got a few news stories here, Matt. We already talked about Microsoft pausing their work on their handhelds, so we can skip over that.
Mm-hmm.
But Lego Fortnite, if Dead Island 2 is getting too stressful for you, on June 17th, Lego Fortnite is launching a Lego brick editor that allows for true brick-by-brick building. And there will be 50 bricks and 42 colors at launch. So I know you and Bob, have exchanged some Lego gifts for birthdays or anniversaries or whatever. Do you see yourself booting up Lego Fortnite to build something here? Come up with a design?
Yeah, I think if I'm reading this right, this is like a sandbox where you're just out in the open, no worries, playing with Legos.
You got it. You're picking up what I'm putting down.
I'm definitely going to check this out. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh hell yeah. I mean, this will be cool. This will be one of those comfort games, I bet.
You're going to make a giant dong?
Of course.
That's what
dong
people,
house.
That's what people
dong
are
house
making, right?
Yeah. Oh hell yeah. That's the first thing everybody does when it comes to this type of stuff. Make a giant penis.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I read that story, I was like, Matt's going to be all over this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll check this out.
There's also something else coming out called Lego Bloom Tycoon. And I think includes 5 new galleries that will inspire creators to build the most incredible gardens and bountiful farms. With over 200 new assets being available, there is an abundance of new visual and gameplay opportunities for green-fingered creators. Are you a green-fingered creator, Matt?
I don't know. I guess. Maybe back in the day. Is that like a green thumb with plants?
Yeah,
comparing that to?
Yeah. Nothing gets by you.
I know. Except for keys and Dead Island.
And the last thing I wanted to call out, this is a very interesting game. I'm not sure how many people have this on their radar, but it's called Hell Is Us. And the demo is now live on Steam, and I think it's available until June 16th. And looks to me like an open world action adventure game. It's like that at times there's some Splinter Cell going on, but at other times there's like some Death Stranding going on. There's some hack and slash. I can't put my finger on what I'm seeing here. I've watched some of these trailers over and over again. Visually, it looks stunning. It's an Unreal Engine 5 game.
It kind of looks like it's trying to be the all games. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
it'd be worth checking out the demo, I guess.
Yeah. It is published by Nacon, so your mileage may vary there. I think they are a Japanese publisher. And it's developed by Rogue Factor, who I'm not aware of. But yeah, it comes out September 4th. But there is a demo on Steam right now to the 16th. Again, the game is called Hell Is Us.
Looks interesting.
Yeah. Might have to check that out. They're saying it's a third-person action-adventure game that combines intense melee combat with the thrill of exploration. Explore a semi-open world to find answers to your questions and face mysterious creatures all along your journey. So there you go. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to picking up the Switch 2 tonight.
Yeah, good luck with that, man.
I'll have to let you know if I get there and there's nobody there and there's like security going, who's this guy trying to break in and get his Switch 2? Or if I'm able to procure one. I'm curious if there's some accessories that are not available to buy yet, and I'm curious if they have them there like the night of. I think they supposedly go on sale tomorrow, like the extra pair of Joy-Cons and the Joy-Con grip that you can slide the Joy-Cons into to make a controller. Rather than, if you got the system docked, and you want to take the Joy-Cons off and you put them in this like controller, so you have another.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have another controller or whatever. I'm trying to figure out. Mario Kart can be played with up to 24 people, and I got 5 people in the house that want to play it, including Lynn. So I need to have 5 controllers ready to go here.
Good luck.
I'm curious how interested. I'm hoping it's an awesome game that holds people's attention and something that we can do like nightly or every couple nights or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be good. Good family time.
Yeah. All right. And this has been episode 34. We've held your interest for long enough. We will be back.
I hope so.
We will be back in a few weeks. Talk to you all later.
Bye.
No business, born insecure junkyard motherfucker!